All right, we got to jump into the interview. Ryan, Mr. Ryan, you ready to rock, buddy?
Yes.
Ryan
Yes.
Ogle.
How are you?
Let's do it. I'm excited, man. This is, I think, the second time we've had you on.
Yeah, I believe so.
Awesome. I always love to repeat guests. So let's jump right into it. So briefly, a minute or less, just share your background of real estate, and then we'll dive into kind of why you joined eXp.
Yeah, in 1 minute. I've been doing it for 22 years. Worked at a small broker, worked at a large broker, started a brokerage for a law firm, went back to a large broker, ran my own independent for 15 years, moved it to eXp about a year and a half ago, maybe a little less than that. So I've kind of done it all in real estate. I had a huge team, and I've kind of blown all that up and started over in a more simpler fashion, which I wanted to. And part of the solution and for what I wanted was to join eXp and have that be the next evolution of my independent brokerage and brand.
I love that. And you're in Grand Rapids or just outside Grand Rapids? Is that right?
Grand Rapids, Michigan. Yep. All of West Michigan, if you need to send any referrals up this way, because I'm back selling independently. I don't have a team, so send me deals.
Okay. Awesome. Cool. I didn't know that. We can talk about that too. Cool. So I remember when I first met you, I remember seeing your branding, and I was just like, this is a really well-established independent brokerage, great branding, sharp guy. So I was like, it's going to be a lot for you to give that up. Like a lot of independents are very proud of their brand, what they've built. So, what kind of was that process like for you saying, hey, I'm going to give up what I've built over here? What was it? Was it Blue Water or
Blue House Properties?
Blue House Properties. Cool. So I'm going to shut down Blue House Properties and part of it be like, was it revenue share was the most compelling thing, or was there other elements that were really compelling that caused you to join?
Yeah. No, I mean, I would say a little bit of like the 5 pillars that I have at eXp, they're all important. But eXp was a solution for me to be able to still kind of keep my brand going, but not be the broker, not have errors and omissions insurance, not cut all the paychecks, right? And, really all we added is brokered by eXp. We still have blue circle signs, our same branding, and it says brokered by eXp. So to be able to still run my business under eXp's business and platform, but save on all the expenses and get liability freedom, which is one of the things I really wanted. And then obviously all the opportunity that comes with it. I can grow, I can have more agents, but I don't have to have this mega team to have the agents, right? I can bring agents on now all over the world and still kind of have a team. I can still mentor, coach, pour into them, but I'm not directly responsible for them. And, I think a lot of us, probably everybody on this call, there's 4 freedoms we want: financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom, and I wanted liability freedom. So I checked one of the boxes and now I'm working on the other 3. And I think eXp is the platform to kind of get me to those other 3.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I haven't heard it said like that before. The liability freedom. What a key component, because you do hear a lot of independents talk about wanting not to have that responsibility of the liability, especially when a lot of them really aren't making that much money after all their expenses and everything. But to break it down, like, hey, I found this 4th freedom, and that's liability freedom. When you're talking to independents, that's really cool to approach it. So I want to dive in because that was news to me that you went and are just an individual agent now. So what was that like all about? Was that the kind of, I'll just let you, like, how did you come up with that new strategy? Because I know you were really gung ho on your team initially. What happened with all that? Was that strategic?
It was, and probably more of a story than I could share on here. I mean, if anything, maybe I had like a forced midlife crisis, but I closed my construction company, sold my property management company, kicked everybody off my team, and then moved my brokerage to eXp. But it was strategic, and it was a chance to simplify, start over, build different. I think a lot of teams, if they're honest with you and you could pull back the curtains, are struggling or maybe not happy. And, but I felt stuck in it, and I'm a man of my word. I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to do my part, but spending 50, 60 grand a month to run this big team, and I'm not necessarily happy doing it. And I think a big aha was sometimes looking at the net. Yeah, great. We did 2.3 million in commission and I only got to keep 300. Not that that's bad, right? 300 is great, but what it took to make 2.3 and I only got to keep 300 and I probably did 800 grand worth of the deals, but that just went to the team, right? Like I had the worst split on my team. It was zero. It just all went to paying everything. So there was some strategy in all of that. And then to get back selling on my own was just, one of the things I enjoyed when I first started this. So kind of falling back in love with it. Might not be the end goal and I might rebuild a team, but now that I'm in this, I've got different options to work on and I can build revenue share and it makes it a little bit easier as an agent.
Yeah, that's great. And I was hoping that was kind of your thought process around it, because that's what I think a lot of agents need to hear when it comes to attracting independent brokers or teams at brokerages like Keller Williams or Remax, because a lot of times it's intimidating. Approaching somebody like you who's been in business 22 years, has all these accolades, because I know you're active in your local market too, and all that from a poor realtor's perspective, and you got your own brokerage. It's like, oh my gosh, how am I gonna have an EXP conversation with somebody like that, when the reality is a lot of them aren't making any money, or in your case, your GCI, that 800K or whatever, went to the team, so your split was zero. The team just sucked it up in expenses. And that was me too. I felt the same way. It's like to have this huge, gross GCI number, then take home a very small percentage, and to have expenses, like you said, $50,000-$60,000 a month. It's a lot of liability from an overhead perspective. Even if you're with eXp, there's months where you lose money because, February for me, I usually always lost money because that was always the worst closing month for my team, but expenses are a fixed number. When you can just be an individual agent, on 800 GCI, there's no reason why you couldn't bet 500 plus on that.
I made the most I ever did last year, just selling house and having fun. And that was felt like a part-time job because I always did that before too, but I actually got to keep.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. If I ever went back into production, which I don't plan to, but sometimes I think that it could be fun to sell real estate where I live here or in Dorado Beach, or move to like Laguna Beach and sell real estate.
It's good to be back in touch though too, because if I'm trying to attract agents, hey, I'm in this with you. I'm selling houses, like I'm up there in market trends and stuff. And I think that gave me a good advantage for getting into the game of attracting agents.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what are your goals with around attraction right now? Like, right now you have, I think, is it 30-ish in your group?
I think we just hit 40 yesterday.
Nice. Congrats, man.
Yeah. So I thought about that.
Going.
I'll be one to, I'm an open book and I'll be transparent and stuff. I haven't put as much time into it as I wanted. Part of that is I don't have staff or employees anymore. So I was kind of busy selling houses, but I've gone, I think, a little bit more for probably quality over quantity, and in planting seeds, and in planting the seeds, playing the long game. Right. And I went down a trail too, where I went after, I wanted to go big. I went after some big 120 agent brokerages, and some of those might still come, but I spent a lot of time on some big fish, I would say. And it didn't fully happen, but a lot of relationship stuff, a lot of planting seeds. But 40, I'm happy with it. Like I had $5,400 last month in revenue share. That's nice. That's a deal. I can wake up on January 1st. I'm not starting at zero. Right. So I'm really happy with it. But what I've seen and learned is that the quality part for me is really good agents. And it takes a little bit to get them. They all cap, most of my agents cap. So I get full revenue share. Most of them stay. I rarely lose an agent because I'm not just doing anybody and everybody, getting them in. And then you just know you're going to have, some attrition. But also some of these quality agents have a good reputation, and they usually bring some people with them, or just who they are and their influence paired up with me plus 3 others. Our group becomes attractive for somebody. So that's what I've done a little bit from strategy standpoint with it. I'm excited and motivated to really kind of go after it. I think, I'm not gonna lie, I wanted to test it a little bit too. Is this real? Will it work? Yeah. And it did, right? I just said I got $5,000 last month. I made a decent amount the first year. And so now that I see it and believe it, I do feel like it's something I really can pitch to people. But I also, like, I had to believe it, right? And I think that's a big thing. Like, you have to believe this if you're going to sell it. If you haven't really looked into this and really understand it, it's going to be hard. That's going to come, like, people are going to pick up on that. And then also, like, words matter. And I just said one of them I don't like. I'm not trying to sell it. I'm introducing it. And I'm not recruiting agents. I'm attracting agents. I think words and vocabulary and script really matter with it. And what's neat, though, staying with it too, right? I've always said consistency crushes goals, playing the long game. Some of the seeds I planted in the beginning where, maybe they're a friend and they're like, hey, I'll meet with you. Thanks, Ryan. I respect you. I'm not interested. I left the door open. I planted the seed. And what I have found is brokers or brokerages, they'll screw up at some point. And I just had someone call me who said, hey, I'm done with my brokerage. I'm coming over. He was a no. He's kind of on my no lists. But I planted that seed and left the door open and didn't push too hard. And I think that's a key part of this is your mindset is I'm going to do this for a long time. So I'm planting seeds, and some of these no's fine, but stay in touch with them because brokerages screw up at some point. And then if you're the first person they call when they want to make a change, then that's awesome. So that some of that stuff, I had to learn that though, right? Like I had to have that happen to understand like, oh, good. I wasn't wasting my time the first 8 months getting a bunch of no's. So there's a little tidbit of it, I guess.
It can be deflating getting those no's, and you work these bigger brokerages or teams and not to see it come to fruition, but it's the reality of attraction. I think what I've seen, the bigger fish you go for, the longer it takes them to convert and the lower the conversion rate. They got a lot more to, I don't want to say lose by switching. And we all know it's a lot more to gain, but in their minds, they got a lot to lose by switching a brokerage potentially. It's a lot to switch a brokerage, rebranding potentially, or at least, changing out your signs, business cards, presentation folders, all that kind of stuff. But knowing that it's a long-term game and having that mindset and staying plugged in with running partners and in these calls to give you the reminder to stay in the game is massive. And I know you're playing that long game. So where would you like to see rev share go from here? Like, we're sitting here almost the middle of 2023, if you guys can believe it, I can't. The next, say, 3 years, like, how many agents would you like to have in your organization? And what's your mindset today around attraction? Do you want to maybe sell a few less houses, put more time in it, or are you kind of happy at your current pace?
Yeah, I'm content because I think contentment's huge, and I wasn't content when I had all my businesses and huge team. So I'm content and happy, and I'll kind of take what comes in, but I want to put some effort into this because I've seen it actually works. And now I really do want to attack it. But back to the 4 freedoms, right? I know I can sell houses every year for the rest of my life, but that's not necessarily time freedom, financial freedom, location freedom, right? So this is going to be a crucial component in wanting to get those other 3 freedoms that I want. And so I need to build this alongside with it. But I'm patient too. I'm willing to let it kind of just unfold as it does. I'm going to keep selling homes. I'm going to keep being a good agent. I'm going to keep meeting new agents. I'm going to keep talking about it. But I'm going to be more pointed too. And I just landed an agent, and she's on this call, but she's in Florida, and her first agent who signed up yesterday is in an office like a half a mile from my office, and no one's approached her about eXp. That kind of motivated me, like, man, we really got to just call some of these people. And she loves the model and loves it. And who knows if she would have came in or not if I approached her. She does know the agent in Florida, but like that motivated me to be like, I got to talk to some of these people. And, funny enough, I'm friends with that agent on social media. And she said, and she knows other people in my group. She said, none of you guys have ever invited me to anything or approached me. So that was a wake up call. And I think there's a piece of being bold. And back to like, I believe in it, but my why, right? Getting those freedoms and some other goals I have is enough that I need to just be more bold and call some more people on it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I hope to grow it, AJ. I don't really have a number, but I want to grow it. I mean, I wish I would have stuck to what I told you when I started, like what's a big number for someone in 1 year. And then I just kind of got distracted and didn't really go all in on it. And I think I'm there now. And I have a competitive side of me that I think woke up a little bit. Whereas like, I want to play this game. I want to be in that top 10 in Game Changer. So I'm going to start to hit it.
All right, let's go. It's your story is much like most attractors that are having success, because you're definitely having success. We always say if you can get 50, you can get 500. If you can get to 500, you get to 5,000. So you're well on your way there. It's just, it's like, well, I kind of got busy, restructuring my team into being an individual agent, sold a lot of real estate, made a lot of money. But because of that, didn't have the time or the energy or the focus or whatever to put it into attraction and maybe feel like you're, could be farther along than you are. So that's just the nature of the beast, man. I took a little more drastic approach. 10 months after joining eXp, I got rid of my team, kind of sold it, and stopped selling real estate. I was like, burn the bridge. I'm going all in on attraction, and it worked out for me. But I definitely saw some success before I did that. I was making about $2,000 a month in rev share when I sold my real estate team and quit selling real estate. So sometimes you got to make just a drastic move in your life to free up the time for it.
For sure. I think selling though is one of the best ways to attract. If you're a good co-broke and you help other agents and you're friendly at closings, like, so part of getting back into selling was intentional too. I mean, one, I need one paycheck in my life, right? But I still get to interact with agents. And I think to be a good, successful agent is one of the best ways to attract. So it can be a great tool. And that's what I'm excited to keep kind of using that, keep doing good business and trying to help other agents.
It definitely opens up new relationships on a daily basis, essentially, with agents. It's just like, it's like, where's the focus? I'm the type of person that was like, I need to be single-minded on agent attraction, and for some, they can do both. It's not even that you got to cut out, my point was you don't need to necessarily cut out selling real estate. Some of you do need to sell less houses, for sure, to open up the time, but it could be like just watching sports every weekend. Like you could take that, like say, hey, I'm done watching sports for the next 3 years and put that towards attraction. Because a lot of people, I just heard this on a podcast this morning. He said his running coach told him, you don't need to be consistently great. You just need to be consistently good. And I think a lot of times as attractors, you're like, man, I got to just try to hit these home runs, get these whales. But if you're just consistently good, just focus on capping agents, get 1 to 2 to sign up a month, do that for 3 years, you'll crush it. And you're doing that, man. You got 40 in your group. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think patience is key. And I could have been like, hey, I didn't do everything I said I would. I'm not going to really go after this, but I've got stuff that will come in and agents coming that I planted seeds with. So I didn't give up on it, and I didn't give up on my goal of putting time into it. I just put little bits here and there, and just not as much as I wanted. But what that should say is I didn't put in as much as I wanted or planned on, and it still paid off. It still worked. Right.
And
so
you just got a massive win this last week.
Yeah. So I like it. I think it's a great thing. I think it's a solution. And hey, it's not for everyone, right? And I think that's important too. Most people have been pitched by eXp by now. And I talk about agent attraction as kind of like my fourth amenity of coming to eXp. I feel like that some people will be right for it, but that's something they can kind of find after they're there. I feel like, and that's been good. I mean, I try to get people to come there because it's a good brokerage first, right? And some other things. And I don't lead with recruiting or rev share. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but that's been successful for me. Just because, I mean, this is like a secret to you guys. I guess some of these agents I'm landing, they've been pitched by eXp agents, but all that was talked to them about was revenue share, recruiting, and retiring early. And so I'm doing the opposite. Like, thank you for not, and I bring it up, I do mention it, but I just don't start with that. And I don't hammer it too hard, because I feel like once they're in and sold on eXp and it's being a good brokerage, which I want them to just come there because it's a great brokerage and they need to sell a lot of houses, right? They need to cap. That's how we make money. Then I kind of bring in more of the rev share agent attraction part.
Yeah, that's good. That's great advice. I've heard that a lot as well. And leading with, hey, how we're going to help you build your real estate business, whatever. And That's why I do those Tuesday calls too, to add value on top of revenue share. Like, hey, we can help you sell more houses, build leverage in your business. I know you got to run, Ryan, but what is one last piece of advice that you'd like to share to a new attractor or somebody looking to kind of get started again and have some success with it?
Yeah. I mean, you, again, make sure you believe in it, or you have a big enough why of like why you're doing it. Like, hey, if I can get this going and have 15 grand a month, I can have this kind of life, because that will drive you. But then I think it will come out when you talk with people. You'll be bold, you'll be unapologetic in it, and you're introducing people to it. And one of the things I loved the most was when Glenn Sanford talked about that we're hope dealers. Like, there's people out there who actually need this. And I've always been one, like, if you can help somebody, or you know something that could help somebody and you don't share it with them, like, how much do you hate people? So like, I feel like I have an obligation to share this and introduce this to some people, because it would change their lives. So that type of attitude with it, I think, is huge. And probably when I said words matter, you know, scripts matter too. But one of the best lines has been, hey, I owe it to you to make sure you understand what you're saying no to.
Yeah,
You know,
that's good.
So there you go. That's, I guess that'd be the best tip. Those are things that have worked for me.
I love it, man. Thanks for sharing. Appreciate you coming on. And once you hit 100, we'll definitely do it again.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, good luck, everybody. Be encouraged. Put some time into it, though. It's worth it.
Cool. Thanks, Ryan. I saw some questions come up in the chat from our earlier session. I'll answer those before we wrap up. So if you guys want to hang on a second longer, David Bell asked, how do you get agents' addresses? So you could just ask them, or you could send them the link, like I put in the chat there, to send them a link like that. I would do it like, hey, I'm updating my database. I send out monthly tips on how to build your real estate business. I send out brownies during birthdays. Like, again, just think of like, what value are you going to offer? Or just say, hey, I'd love to send you something. I get asked probably, I don't know, maybe once a month, someone asks me for my address. They don't even say why. And that's kind of weird when they don't say why, but it's usually someone that I know or kind of know. So I just say sure, and I send it because I know that they want to send me something, which is always fun. Like, people love getting stuff in the mail. Like, I love getting stuff in the mail. Like, you know, a little box shows up. You're like, what's in this? So I would just handle it that way. How is the better? So KB Core is going to be for, it's a CRM system. This is not a CRM system. There's a couple other questions. My email address is, you guys can send me an email if you want to sign up to aj.mida@exprealty.com. aj.mida@exprealty.com. CC, I'll upload the recording into Game Changers Nation later today. And then I got a private message. Someone was just asking, don't you need to sell real estate every 6 months to stay active to receive rev share? No, you do not. There's no production requirement to receive rev share. I haven't sold a house in over 5 years. Ooh, Darren, good tip. He says you can use Market View Broker. Darren, does Market View Broker give home addresses or just brokerage address? If you want to type that in the chat there.
It gives the address that it has in the MLS for them. Sometimes it can cross over, but you do get all their phone numbers, their emails, their production numbers for the last 2 years, and their trend line, whether they're increasing or decreasing and by what percentage.
Okay, cool. Good tip on that. I'm just gonna see if I can show you guys my screen back over here. So if we go back, I just want to provide some more insight for getting their addresses. So if you go to where to find agents for this, so it would kind of depend on like who it is. So cross-sale agent, to get a cross-sale agent's address, at the end of the deal, I would text them or call them or message them, email them, whatever, and just say, hey, super glad we were able to get that one closed. You know, looked a little hairy there for a second, whatever you want to say. I'd just be like, I'd love to send you a small gift of my appreciation. What's your best mailing address? Open houses, you could say something like, ideally with open house leads, you probably followed up with them after the open house before trying to get their address. But if you're just going straight to the address, you can just say, hey, it was awesome meeting you at your open house last week. I'd love to send you, or I'd love to add you to my newsletter that I mail out every month. It has tips, including tips for holding open houses, yada, yada, yada. So I would go from the value add to that. Agents showing your listings, same thing. Local agent events, national real estate coaching conferences, those two, I would do like the selfie strategy ideally. So you meet somebody, take a quick selfie and just say, hey, I'd love to send you a card with our picture on it. What's your best mailing address? Like that. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Again, with those, I would go the value add route and just share with them some snippets of what you send out. So I'll spend some time thinking and putting together specific messages that you could send. I think that would be helpful because in my mind, you know, I'm just going to fire off something really quick that comes to mind. But as I'm building out the system, it would be a whole lot easier for myself and all of you if it was just copy and paste. So I'll think of some things like that, but I would just highlight what you're including in the newsletter. So if you don't want to wait on me to get that going, I would say, I'd love to add you to my newsletter. That includes some personal success stories of how I'm selling X amount of homes per year. If you're not selling a lot of real estate, I would just say I'd love to include you to my monthly newsletter that comes out that has tips and strategies for building your real estate business to make more money and have some more freedom. Also includes some details for local events that are happening for realtors. So I would probably touch on those couple value add pieces. And some are going to say no, they're not all going to say yes. I mean, if this is a random agent you just met on Facebook, you're probably going to get maybe a yes 20% of the time, and that's okay. You know, you gotta shoot your shot, and that's kind of how I'd approach it. All right, so this is cool. All right, guys, so I saw a bunch of you signed up for the newsletter. I'll get those out later today. If you guys haven't yet signed up for the newsletter and you want to receive that from me, I'll repost the link and then we'll wrap this one up. Right. Cool. I just posted the link if you want to receive what my long-term follow-up strategy is for attraction, sign up there, and you guys will just get that on a monthly basis along with my group. Oh, I didn't even talk about this. Okay, we still got a good amount of you guys on here. I knew we were running late on time with Ryan, so I didn't get to it. But what I wanted to share was that the system for Mailbox Power that I'm using, I'm on their executive plan. It's their top tier plan. They have a promotion. I don't remember what it is, but if you pay monthly, it's $199 a month. And what you get with that are a lot of benefits, including unlimited postcards. So if you had a list of 1,000 agents, you could send 1,000 postcards for free. You just pay the postage per month. But I would use as a realtor the free postcard part of it to do like just listed, just sold postcards, farming neighborhoods, and all of that. You just pay postage. But part of the perks for the executive plan, and the reason I'm on the executive plan, because I'm not really using the unlimited postcards. I don't have a database that big yet of agents. I would like to grow it. But you get 200 greeting cards, 5x7 greeting cards for free per month. You pay postage. So for the $199, I'm getting 200 free greeting cards, and then I'm paying postage.
We lost
AJ, you
audio.
just muted yourself.
All right, there we go. You guys can hear me?
Yes.
Thumbs up.
Yes, we have you now.
My headset died. That means I've been on too many calls today. So what I was doing the math, I think the cost of a stamp's around 68 cents now. If anyone has the exact amount, that'd be cool. But if not, no big deal. So 68 cents times 200 cards. 200 cards times 68 cents. So I'm paying $136 in postage. And the cost of the platform is $200 for the one that I'm on. You can there's a version of it for $79 a month, I think it is. So there's a much cheaper version. So for about $340 per month, if all I used it for was this attraction piece, which is pretty much all I'm going to use it for. I'm also going to use it to recognize some top attractors in my group, and I send family gifts, my Mother's Day presents, things like that, Christmas cards all come through this platform. But if I just used it for agent attraction, I could consistently mail on a monthly basis 200 agents for $340, $350 a month. To me, that's worth it. You know, you get one capping agent that pays for it for the year. I think the highest ROI on this initially is going to be for your real estate business, which we didn't talk about at all. But from the attraction piece, I think at this point, we're just in a market. What really incentivized me to do this was we're in a market right now where a lot of agents are leaving the business. So it's going to be harder to attract agents than it was before. So that's like the current market conditions. If you guys are an active attractor, you already know that. If you're just getting into it, it doesn't matter. It's because you don't know anything different. But when there's less agents to recruit, it makes it a little bit harder to recruit agents. NAR estimates that about 30% of all agents are going to leave the industry through this next recession. That happens every recession. It's not a big deal. It's the lower producing agents dropping out because they can't afford MLS dues for the most part. With that being said, my goal is to level up what I'm doing as an agent attractor so that my personal attraction business is not affected by the market. You know, it's just like if you're selling houses right now, you need to do business a little bit different to continue to have the sales that you had before, because it is harder. There's just less sales happening right now. So it's just no different. You know, they're just so similar. Selling houses and attracting agents are so similar. So to be on the forefront of being a top attractor, I'm thinking, what can I do to level up my my efforts, my skills, my systems when it comes to attracting agents? Good news is it's not that difficult. It's like there's like a couple little systems you can put in place and have a really good attraction business. It's much simpler than what it was like when I was selling houses. So appreciate you guys staying on a little extra. If you want to sign up, email me. If you want to just get on that monthly mailer and just kind of, mine's what I'm up to. So it's just going to be kind of what I'm up to, sharing more like some personal development stuff. And it's not going to be that specific to real estate. So it might just be a fun little read. But if not, that's cool too. And we'll see you guys next week. John will be back on. So we'll be back to our normal, I guess, attraction training with interviews starting next week. This was a little hiatus from that. And then next month, we're super excited because we're actually going to redo this format of how we're doing the attraction calls. So we're really excited to release that in June, just kind of shake it up a little bit. And got a bunch of, so you get texts when people sign up for your group. So it's cool to kind of see that as it comes into. So, all right, guys, have a great rest of your week. The reasons we do this is because it's Thursday, and that means tomorrow is Freedom Friday, which should be your day, your main time block for the week to attract agents. Freedom Friday, every Friday, if you're putting in 2 to 4 hours towards attraction, you will start recruiting agents. You'll start getting passive income, and that's what we're all here for. All right, see you guys.